Welcome back, everyone, to Blue Collar Startup. Each episode, we interview blue-collar business owners, managers, staff members, different people that are involved in making the blue-collar businesses happen. And I'm your co-host. I almost said host, but I'm the
You are the primary host.
Am I the
I did one episode on my own, though. I was pretty proud of that.
It was good. It was a good episode.
Thanks.
So I'm one of the hosts, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media, joined by our visionary and founder of the Blue Collar Podcast, Blue Collar Startup. Holy moly.
Say that 5 times fast.
I guess. I don't know if I had enough coffee today.
Start over?
I know, right? No, we like to include me doing stupid things and saying stupid things. Derek. How are you, Derek?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Well, I'm not as good as you, obviously. I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus, I guess. I didn't know until I just started talking. I'm on the struggle bus. So, and speaking of struggle bus, nothing to do with our guest today. So, but we're joined by Michael McGrath, 1-800 Paint Job, which is not a franchise, by the way.
It is not.
But it was. But we'll talk about that, right? Wasn't it?
No.
It wasn't?
Nope. God, do better research.
Man, I could have sworn that you and I had a conversation. Now, Mike and I have known each other for...
No, it's a cool story, but it's not a franchise.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask how you guys know each other.
Yeah, 15
Sales.
years, maybe? Yeah, sales, networking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might tie back to real estate because Mike and I were both real estate agents a long time ago.
After real estate for you. I was in real estate after you.
You were?
Yeah. 2005 to 15.
Man, I suck with my facts right now.
I should have brought you a coffee.
Something. No, that was when I was in real estate. It was 2000. I got my license in 2004 to 2014. So, but we'll figure that out. Anyway, Mike McGrath, ladies and gentlemen, excited to talk with Mike. He has a successful painting business. You've been doing that for...
In business as a corporation, 2001, but I mean, it's at 18. I painted for 2 years and went right on my own.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so let's talk about that. So 18,
Yep.
painting on your own. I can guess, but why'd you go out on your own?
Thinking back, I don't know why really, other than I wanted to make more money.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I was working with my friends when we first got, as painters.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just to, work with your friends and go out and drink at night and you're all hungover in the morning. And,
Right. Commiserate.
That I got paid back for that, trying to find employees. So, but I just thought I could do it better. A guy really the final straw for me was my current employer at that time asked me to lie to a friend and say I did something I didn't do. And I said, I won't do it. So I said, I'm not going to do that. And I walked away and said, I'll just start my own thing.
And that's what I figured it was going to be. Because I feel like so many people out there start a business because when they're young, because they know they can do it better, right? Because they're young,
Invincible.
It's amazing. But I was like,
it's nothing like what we thought back then. But
no,
yeah,
owning a business is not easy. So you start now. When you started out on your own, you weren't 1-800 Paint Job though. So why don't you tell the backstory on the one that I got wrong on how 1-800 Paint Job came to be?
So it was DBA a few years, and then, like I said, incorporated 2001. Pizzazz Painting is the corporate name.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked the idea when the vanity number came out that it's just one thing. It's 1-800 Paint Job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to remember a phone number with a name, or you get the name, you forget the phone number. It made total sense to me. So a guy owns it in Bayport, New York, and he just was smart enough to think, well, I'm not going to use it anywhere else other than where I want to use it. So we lease the number for certain counties. So Albany, Saratoga, Warren, Washington. Anybody that calls in those counties comes to us. And it's been that way for 20 years now.
So is it almost like I know. It's almost like a licensing thing?
Yeah.
Is that?
So it's call routing.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Now, does he have these all over the country?
I don't know how many contractors use it. And I think they stopped selling it or licensing it.
Interesting.
I know that the big sales guy in the beginning, 20-something years ago, they were going full out.
Well, there was no interweb back then, right? So, that was probably just gold. It's like 1-800 Law 1010, right? Like, same thing with those guys. But
I don't think they're growing, unfortunately. I actually thought about maybe purchasing it.
Trying to do it. Mm-hmm. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's a cool business
That's
model.
one of a
Yeah, it is.
dozen ideas.
That's like super scalable.
It's like buying all the .com, domain names.
Yeah, although that doesn't matter anymore.
No.
It's hilarious too because we try to buy domains all the time, and people are like, "Oh, the .com, it's like $10,000," and I'm like, "Well, that's stupid. I can go buy the .us for $9."
Yeah.
And no one cares about the extension
Right,
anymore,
yeah.
right? Like, amazing. So 20 years in business, using the 1-800, 20 years.
34 total,
Okay.
and 2001, so 22 years incorporated using the number.
Using the number.
It's somewhere on that same time frame. So
Okay. So, probably a good thing to touch on is how the changes that you've seen going from when 1-800 paint job, like the phone number was your marketing to what you're doing now. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, again, the vanity number made perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what we were doing back then. I mean, it was job site signs, T-shirts.
Yep.
What else did you do? Magnets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was no digital presence.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, I mean, back then, it was like the Stone Age, right? So it's like you had newspaper, radio, and television. If you wanted to
Yellow
spend that
Pages.
kind of money,
Yeah.
the Yellow Pages.
Yellow Pages, right?
Yeah, man.
So many people that are going to listen to this are going to go, what?
Yeah, Yellow
Yellow
Pages.
Pages.
Holy moly.
Why are they yellow?
You remember thumbing through Yellow Pages looking
yeah.
for something that you need, like no matter what it was.
Yeah.
The phone books were so thick.
I don't.
No, you don't because you're too young.
Right.
It was crazy,
Stay
man.
quiet over there, Derek.
I mean, that was Google back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Was going through those Yellow Pages. You'd go back to the alphabetical and go to P for plumber,
direct mail,
direct mail,
flyers, illegally in people's mailboxes. You do what you
Yeah.
have to do to get
or
business.
putting them in under the windshield
Oh,
in
yeah.
parking lots,
Yeah,
under the
upsetting
wipers,
A lot of people. Yeah, it's great.
getting yelled at for soliciting.
Yeah. But I mean, here's what I envisioned back then was that the 1-800 paint job was the brand
Yep.
to me, that you're going to be the 1-800 paint job guy. And as it grew, of course, then we have different platforms, different ways to, get the name out there, and it stayed consistent. And I think that's important, that the brand has been red lettering on white vehicles for the most part. And then, of course, now it's 1-800 paint job, we need a painter.com.
Mm-hmm.
So as the internet started to go, I said, what is somebody thinking when they're thinking of getting a painting contractor? I was like, we need a painter. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when it was available.
Right.
It was $9.
Good deal.
Now that's the next piece, right? That's the kind of the growth of the marketing for us from the vanity number.
Mm-hmm. It's going from vanity phone to vanity URL.
Yeah.
And website.
Easy to remember, tie the two together. At least it makes sense to me.
So when you were starting up or decided to go off on your own, I guess what was and it's a question I'm always interested to hear the answer to, but what was that? I know the final push, but how did you go about buying equipment, buying materials? What was the planning like for you to be able to go out and do that?
That's an easy answer. Zero planning.
You just went and got
it was
started.
Desperation, motivation, inspiration, you call it what you want, but
All the Asians.
I mean, I had to pay bills and was living a different lifestyle back then. So I just did it. And I think as a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever, that's kind of what separates people, is that you just do it. You jump into it and you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things now I know are not my strengths, so I stay away from those things. But the other things, I try to, keep those in my lane.
What do you think your strengths are?
Sales.
Yeah.
I love sales. I just love it.
Is that because
That's where you and I connected.
with sales?
Yeah.
Selling, yeah.
In the networking world, but yeah, I just love sales. I love the ability to show what's different about our company and how we treat people, including our employees.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very important part that a lot of companies miss. It's not just about me. I mean, I started, and I can boost my ego with that, or however it works. But right now, we're a company that builds people. That's it. We just happen to be painters.
How many staff do you have, Mike?
1 in the office now, and I think 7 in the field. We need 14. So we're constantly recruiting and all that kind of thing.
Where are you finding your staff from?
Indeed, somewhat. although that's an avenue that's gotten really expensive, especially for the quality that comes out of it.
Mm.
But I also think tying that into what we're trying to do as a company, which is build people, we're not looking for bodies.
Yeah.
I'd rather be short-staffed, quote unquote, but have great people, so the experience stays the same, than throw bodies into the mix that don't follow our systems or we don't have the time to train them. Really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, keep the wheels turning.
I know that was a big thing that Derek the last few years has done a lot with, is really focusing on culture and that side of things to help recruit, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, it gets to a point, I think, when, it's not you hit the nail on the head. It's not about me, it's not about you. It's about all the people that are there, that work hard every day, and, you owe it to them, so to speak, to
so true.
To give them the opportunities to advance.
Yes.
I agree 100%.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it's something that we've really been focusing on this year, as we, basically pandemic almost put us out of business. So we've been rebuilding since 2020, since really 2021 was, just putting the company back together, and 2022 growth, 2023 still growth. But it's just this year specifically, we're really focusing on culture, who we are, our mission, our purpose, and using those things to help drive recruitment and retention with our people, as opposed to, like you say, just kind of throwing an ad out there and hiring.
It doesn't work anymore.
Hiring the best of the applicants. Yeah, 2021, we went through, holy moly, we went through so many people because we weren't doing that. And all we were doing was we were putting an ad out and trying to hire the best candidate that answered the ad.
Right.
And it was a nightmare.
I'll tell you, I had a business mentor a couple of years ago. He came in and helped me establish some systems, and part of that was establishing kind of what my role was.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked the same questions: what do you like to do? And I said, well, I just love the sales part of it. And he says, how much recruiting do you do? And I looked at him like, we need someone, we'll go here, we'll go there. He said, you should be focusing as much time on recruiting as you do sales, because they're the ones that have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a light bulb. Never looked at it that way, but so that's been my purpose now as part of, building people and finding the right people. And, but it was an eye opener, but it takes someone from the outside. And that's why I think having a network of business owners that communicate and help each other, because we're hyper-focused most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to keep everybody paid and bills paid and everybody happy. So it's a lot of things to focus on.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that before, and just like chasing accounts receivable left, right, and say, like I spend so much time just on the financial side with bill pay and chasing receivables, and they're not because anyone's bad, but just because billing systems are fallible.
Right.
Like our billing system, especially, we have, we use QuickBooks and it sends emails out, right? Because we got rid of our paper billing because we we're going to be more efficient and da-da-da-da-da. Well, guess what? No one gets the damn invoices because email filters block them from coming in. So all of a sudden, like I literally just talking to a client yesterday, 2 clients, both of them community partners, right? And there's 3 of us standing there, and one of them mentioned like, hey, dude, you just slammed me with like 5 invoices. I was like, no, dude, those were like the reminders because you had 5 invoices outstanding. And he's like, I don't get them. He's like, when you send them to me, I pay them immediately. He's like, I don't understand. I'm like, I have this conversation with everyone right now, and we have to figure something out because all of our billing is done electronically, and no one's getting the invoices when they first go out. And for some reason, they get the reminders. They're not getting the original invoices. And it's just like,
that's not good.
No. Not, and then you got tens of thousands of dollars outstanding. It's like, we're a small company, man.
I'll tell you, that's when we added Mandy back in the office, it's been a life changer because there's that personal, I think for us, I decided we go backwards a little bit. We make it very high touch on the phone, going back to that where I said, any reason to check in, any reason to confirm colors, any reason to confirm an appointment. I want that human touch via phone and it's been immediate in its return. 20 times return in the level of satisfaction and I guess calmness with the client. They feel really confident about what we're doing because we're communicating way over what we thought was enough.
Sure.
So that's huge for us.
And you're doing it not electronically, you're doing it over the phone.
Yep.
Which
smart. People are sick of email. They're sick of social media, and they want the human interaction, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
We hit them with text messages. I mean, we still use all of that, and we're toning some of that down because if I try to put myself in their shoes, I would block that number fast.
Yeah.
I mean, in some, it's just the way it is. So we're trying our best to utilize, be efficient, but also not lose that touch. That's super, super important to us.
So what do you think, from a business standpoint over the last 35 years, but 22 as a corporation, what do you think your biggest challenge has been over those years?
Recruiting.
Yeah.
It's always recruiting. When I look back,
So it's not a new problem.
Nope.
Because I keep getting into this conversation. We have this conversation all the time, right? Like with everybody. Everybody's like, I can't find labor.
Yep.
We actually, the organization that has been printing our newspapers, right, for a decade, they just announced that because of labor shortages, they are no longer doing it.
Wow.
And they nixed their whole, a whole industry that they had, and just because they couldn't find people to do it. And I keep running in the situation, restaurants that are not able to open for the hours that they want to open because they can't find staff.
Well, to me at least, my experience is way, way, way worse since COVID.
Yeah.
Way worse. And I don't know where they're getting their money still, but I'll give you an example. When we hire now, we try to get them to jump over some hurdles. Even though we need people, quote unquote, I'm not willing to take the risk to take someone on fast, like throw a body at the situation, so to speak. So they got to go over some hurdles, and then we make it difficult for them. It goes to a phone interview, and we send out assessments, we send out all that, but still, their first week, we offer them a wage of $30 to $35 an hour. Now, the average painter, let's say, is 22 to 25, because I say to them specifically, we want you to stay for the week. We don't want you jumping to somebody else. They don't last 2 days. They don't show up. It's not a money problem for them. It's just a lifestyle character problem. At least that's what I see. And it's so hard to find the right people. But it's worth it, as I'm sure we'd all attest to.
Yeah, I know. We've definitely we decided that same as you, or what you said before, is that we'd rather be short-staffed than hire the wrong person. Because I think, and probably Derek more than anyone can attest to this, is that hiring the wrong person does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And creates more problems than being short-staffed does. And I think that's definitely one of the things that we've been.
Well, the truth is, I think we all have the potential to cause trouble, and cause a problem, not knowing or inadvertently or something. But I think the more time we spend really finding out who the people are that we're interviewing, no matter who we are, it's really crucial to long-term, I think, retainment of employees.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit, because I think, one of the things some of our listeners are interested in knowing is, everybody, when they're getting ready to launch their first business, right? It's a scary thing. Everybody wants to know the magic formula, so there's no failure and all that stuff. Yeah, right. That's probably the funniest thing I've said in weeks.
Yeah.
So I guess the question I would have for you is, what did it look like for you to be able to go out on your own and be successful? Like, what did that take?
Again, we're going back a lot of years, and some of my memory's gone because of those years. But again, I go back to, I just did what I had to do. I don't know that there's no secret sauce. We know that. If I were to go back now, with the knowledge I have, I would have hired mentors, found the money, to show me a lot more of the ropes that I had to learn on my own. That being said, I will never say that my failures or anything like that. I look at all of those as wins. They're all wins for me. I learned a ton because I had to. You just have to learn it. You have to figure it out.
So what were some of those failures? Like, let's get into some specific examples. Because I'd really like to kind of give our listeners, like, hey, if you're thinking about going out and starting your own, and let's say painting business, right? Like, what are the things that you need to do as a solo entrepreneur right out of the gate?
Get an accountant, get an attorney, get all those people that You think you can do stuff just because you can get online? Get all of those professionals and build a team. Build a really good team that you can trust. It costs money, but down the line, you save so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's an investment into a business. And I guess as a young business owner, most of us looked at it like it's all costs. What's it going to cost me? Oh my God, that's a lot of money. Rather than I'm investing in the future of my company. And now for me, it changes because I have a family. You know, as we grow as people too, so your reasons change for why you want to keep doing your business. Your reason changes, or it gets way more important when you have a family and people that are in your circle, the people you bring into that circle through employees. So it's all that stuff. But all that's part of a core team. Build a really solid core team and ask people for help. I would tell you 100% of the people I've asked for help helped me.
Yeah.
And 100% that I didn't ask didn't.
Probably. I mean, that's probably the best advice going. Don't be afraid to ask.
Absolutely.
There's so many people, myself included. I don't reach out. I mean, Mike, you're the same way. We have it on our website. Reach out if you have a question or want to know something. Everybody's happy to help.
Yeah.
Pay it forward.
Yeah. Especially the pay it forward side. I mean, I know that over the years with different businesses and different crazy ideas I've had, there was I never did any of it alone, and there was always people that stepped up and helped me and gave me support. And it's, and as we say, my belief is that there's no truer path to freedom than being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, right? Like I just, and in the country that we live in and the times that we live in, it's some of the most important stuff, right? Yeah. And so I had this conversation with my business partner, Chad, where I was like, we're obligated to help people. We're obligated to help other businesses succeed. Like, it's not even whether we're getting paid or not. Like, we got to get paid sometimes because we got to keep the lights on, and it allows us to continue to do what we're doing. But we are obligated to help other people in our community succeed and be successful in business. So it's,
many years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I always made a point that the younger painters that came into the paint stores, and I think naturally contractors, again, when you're young, you don't know anything about business, it's all competitive. You think that guy's stealing your work and you're stealing his.
They're evil.
It's real competitive. I just started meeting these guys in the store just saying, hey, if I can help in any way. And I have half a dozen contractors what's cool is you can see them grow. And they're growing because I'm not the only guy they're talking to. They're talking to the rep at the store. Maybe that helping him one time opened him up to ask people other questions. So I love doing that. I love talking to the younger business owners, and they typically don't take the advice, just like I didn't back when I was. But I want to plant a seed if I can.
Or just have a good relationship. I know Brad, that's our new operations partner that we brought on in February. Previous to that, he owned a competing marketing firm. He was a small solo entrepreneur. We got introduced, and I was like, hey, we can help each other, right? Like I don't have, I can sell and sell and sell and sell until there's no tomorrow. I'm like, but what I don't have right now is capacity, and you can help me with some overflow stuff if you want, right? So we started working together. I started sending some overflow stuff. Then he started sending us some stuff that he couldn't work on. And then next thing you know, I'm like, hey, why don't you come be a partner at our company? Bring your business over, bring your book over. And we did. A couple of other really good friends of mine own competing marketing firms in our town, and it's just like.
But at the end of the day, I don't think you're competing anymore. We're not competing anymore. There's so much business out there.
Correct. And that's my mentality. That's theirs as well. And we share stuff back and forth because sometimes there's the client we know that is better suited for what they do. And sometimes it's going the other direction. And while we're, quote unquote, competing marketing firms, like we're just marketing firms in the same town, and we're friends.
I think if the three of us are offering the same thing and we meet with the same client,
I'll tell them how awful you are.
Right.
No, I would never do that.
Perfect. Do that because you're off the table then, because they don't like that.
No, people don't like that.
But it comes down to know, like, and trust.
Yes.
And however you do that, I guess that's the way it goes. So I don't know. I love the sales part of it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All three of us do. Yeah. For sure. It's definitely, it's my favorite thing. I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
And then somehow I'm doing all this other stuff though.
But that's an entrepreneur.
This is fun too. I like the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about I'm going to forget what it was. I'll think about it later. Sorry.
Damn aluminum.
I had a good point.
I know.
All the oil paint.
Oh, yeah, all the fumes, man. Don't be a painter, folks. You won't remember your own name after a couple of years.
So it was a respirator.
That's right.
That's the lesson.
So speaking of the technical side of the business, this might sound like a stupid question, but where did you learn to paint? How did you first learn to do?
I watched my friend do it. Literally, I watched him with a paintbrush, and he said, go paint next to that window. And I remember thinking, this is going to take forever. They didn't use tape. They didn't. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at him, and he's flying. I go, how? And this is what to this day, this is part of our training with a new person that comes on. I said, how come you can go so fast? He said, just keep doing it the way I showed you. And it's repetitive.
Yeah.
And he was right. So I tell everybody that comes in, you'll get, the speed will come. Focus on the process, our system. The speed comes. Just if you keep doing the same thing, the right thing, you'll get it. And I use that to this day.
It's awesome.
It is awesome. But here's my question for you. Again, decades in business. You've obviously, no business owner is short on challenges, right? That's really what we do every day, is just solve problems and overcome challenges that are put in front of us every single day, right? Yeah. What do you think one of the biggest challenges that you overcame was, and how did you overcome it?
In business?
Yes, sir.
That's a great question.
Well, that's why I make the big bucks.
But I think I have an answer. Yeah. I think there's a turning point where you realize what we've talked about earlier, that it's not about us, that it's for the community. It's for families. We're supporting families. I mean, that's when it comes right down to it. I mean, they're depending on us to give them the work. And that's where I think if it's only about the sale, you lose good people because they see through that. It all comes together, but it's that turning point to do enough research on your own too. I mean, I dove in deep to business books and more mindset books than anything, which I think is way more important than the actual doing of what we do every day. But I dove in and learned this stuff, and I just love that part of it. So
a lot of people don't take the time to do that. Information is available all over the internet.
Self-educate. Holy moly.
You can learn anything.
YouTube is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's free. I'm like, if you tell me you can't do something and I ask you if you YouTubed it and you didn't, you don't deserve to be doing it.
Yeah. I agree. I talk about that with my team all the time. I'm like, guys, I'm not hiring you because you're an expert. I'm hiring you because you're going to learn to be an expert. Like everything that I know about marketing, about business, I either got off of YouTube, I learned it from a Google search, or I read a book, right? Yeah. I self-educated. It's not because I went to college and they taught me how to be an entrepreneur, business owner, no, none of those things. Like, you have to self-educate and understand that the responsibility lies with you to do those things, right? Like,
it all comes down to us.
Yeah.
Every last bit of it ultimately comes down to us. So.
I had an employee tell me that I asked him to do some SEO work on a website. And a couple things didn't get done, or how they got done were like not very good. And I was like, this is trash, bro. Like, what happened? And he's like, I'm just not really good at that stuff, Mike. And I'm like, yeah, wrong answer, right? I'm like, then get good, bro.
Mindset.
Yeah, do a couple of do a Google search. They'll tell you how to do
that story.
Holy moly!
Yeah,
he's no longer with us, but he's a good dude. But
I was going to ask if you promoted him.
No, I know. So we gave him a raise. No. Can we talk about the personal stuff?
Sure.
Because, you got a great story. Sure. Overcoming hardship.
Sure.
Addiction.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Give us the lowdown. Tell us about it.
It's taken an interesting turn. So this will be a kind of a public announcement of part of it. But 1998, decided to get clean and sober.
Yeah.
Nobody made me do it, which is why it stuck as well as it did. But again, dive into that. So that started the whole knowledge. Like, I became this sponge of, once my head got
once
clear.
You got sober, right?
Once I got clear, it was like those years of nothing going in. All of a sudden, it's all empty, and I want to fill it. And so it was just book after book after this, after that. for about a year, went to meetings, did all that. Can I talk freely?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
My things were alcohol and cocaine. So it became one without I couldn't do one without the other. And that was just, I can't name names, but I was out probably 3 nights. I was awake, came home, and was sitting on my couch. My friend at the time, or still my friend, closest friends, was an attorney who was now somebody pretty high up there.
Yeah.
And he just came upstairs and he looked at me. He goes, "You done yet?" And I'm looking at him like, how does he know? I mean, that as I was sitting there, that's the thought I was having. Like, this is enough. So reached out to Conifer Park here in Glens Falls, and I went for a year, 4 to 5 days a week, 6 hours a day on my own. Nobody made me go. And I sucked it up and changed my life. Recently, the last year and a half, through stress, all sorts of normal stuff that a lot of business owners and normal people, anybody has. They had me on some medication, for anxiety. I don't like pills.
Yeah.
So that turned to researching again, cannabis, THC, CBD, all that. And I use cannabis now in place of whatever pills they gave me. Changed my life. 180 degrees in terms of anxiety, societal situations. And again, it's legal. So it's not like I never considered it before because it just wasn't. So it wasn't ever something I thought about. That talk about mindset, that's a mind fuck to me. Because to make that decision, I put myself out there to get judged by a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I said, it's me. Yeah. I'm doing what's best for me, my family, my company, my employees. So that's what I've done. I don't touch alcohol still. I don't touch Coke anymore. It's just not on my radar, which is very odd for me. I was very cautious how I did it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I remember asking you to do bartender boxing, and you were like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting behind a bar.
Yeah.
I'll go in the restaurant and eat, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going to. And so, like, we did years ago, we did. I
forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah. For Derek. So, Mike used to actually live over by one of our clients, Bay Meadows. And we were just coming up with some different marketing things. Mm-hmm. So we came up with this bartender boxing, right? So what we'd do is we'd bring in a guest bartender, and tips during that hour-long period would go to charity and whoever. So we would have two guest bartenders on at the same time, so they would compete with each other and this whole thing, right? It was
social
cool.
Media.
Yeah, it was social media. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. We raised, I don't know, maybe $5,000 or $6,000 for a local charity. It was great. Did the whole big check thing. Yeah. And I had messaged Mike because I was like, he's very, all about giving back and about helping people out. And I was like, oh, would you do that? And he was like, dude, no, 20-something years clean and sober, bro. Like, I'm not going behind a bar. And I'm a
shitty bartender.
Yeah, well, and I was like, man.
I only participate in things I have a chance of winning.
Yeah. So it was, but you were very disciplined about that, though. Like, now you wouldn't even do that. And I thought that was really cool, actually.
No, and I want to say that this is my own story. It's my choices are my choices. Like, consult whoever you need to consult, or nobody, that's your choice at the end of the day. But what I also learned through that research, which was basically just thought after thought after thought, really sitting and thinking about what was going on, was I'm not the same guy I was 25 years ago.
Sure.
I don't have the same external forces on me, whereas, different stressors, all that kind of thing. So it was hard for my wife. She really struggled with it in the beginning. So I just said, who do you see? Do you know the difference? She goes, I think I do. I could smell it. And I say this because it's part of what I like to talk about is contractors and the other half, the wife or the significant other, because that's super important. That's one of my kind of passions and missions. But once she said, you're calmer, you don't snap as much, I said, so would you call that better? She said, absolutely. And she said, it's my own hang-ups and stigmas that are attached to it.
Yeah.
So I said, if I'm better, I'm cool. Like, I'll work with you and try to help you as much as I can, but that's her deal. That's not my deal. I don't carry that luggage for her. So it's hard. I mean, but life as an entrepreneur is hard decisions. I believe that to my core.
And I think you bring up your personal story, and again, we appreciate you sharing with it. You know, it's not always an easy thing to talk about that stuff and be vulnerable like that. I think it's important for potential business owners to understand the amount of stress that you face as a business owner and having some sort of outlet for it.
Yeah.
Hopefully a healthy outlet.
Yeah.
And not booze and cocaine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like
I have different outlets.
Yeah. It's, exercise has been one of those outlets for me for years because it's a way for me to burn off some of that, like when I'm running 10 miles or doing whatever, I'm not thinking about, holy shit, I got 60 grand in, invoices out there. I got 5 grand in the account and payroll's coming up at 15 grand in a week. Like, it's stressful, and so I think it's a great story and really illustrates the point to have some sort of outlet, not alcohol or cocaine.
I mean, I guess it's their choice.
Yeah.
I can tell you it didn't end well for me.
You do you, guys.
You do you. Yeah.
So fast forward now. So what kind of, Derek and I love asking about routines. What you have you're a pretty mindful guy. I know that you're a high energy guy. Do you have any kind of like crazy morning routines that you're doing?
I actually have probably the lack of routine that I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
Now, in terms of, I used to work out in the morning. Things have changed in the company because we've done some restructuring. So I'm 60, 70 hours now working at the shop, at the office, whatever. But my routine is I get up when my wife gets up to go to yoga, and I go to the shop. I get some work done in the morning. But there's I don't have a crazy routine. I love being home. Mm-hmm. I love being with my family. My son now is going to be 15, so he's pretty busy. But, I feel like I've worked we have the same, you and I have the same, I don't know your story particularly, Derek, but, it's like the farm.
Yeah.
It's like coming home. So when I come home, I like to be home. Mm-hmm. We got all the things we've worked hard to have there, and that's my routine. I want to be home. Know that when I left work, and I don't work a lot at home anymore.
That's nice.
I used to work a ton. But know that at the end of the day, I did the best I could for the people in the company, for myself, for my family. Mm-hmm. That's it, right? Every day, just a little bit better.
Yeah. Slow progress is still progress, right?
What is, I know you read a lot. What is your favorite business book?
Man, come on.
Had to ask.
It's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I don't know that I can answer that.
What do you think had the most impact on
three?
Yeah, top 3.
Top 3 is The Energy Bus. That is not a business book.
Okay.
And it talks about what you bring to people.
Okay.
Yeah,
The Energy Bus.
It's a quick read. I did it Audible probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I was cranking through audiobooks. And also,
I realized, audiobooks.
And here's what I love about, like, if you're into the mindset stuff and all that, there's growth, like continuous growth. And I look back and I would only do Audible because I'm like, I don't like reading the hard copy or the soft cover, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I realized when one of my mentors said, you take information differently. We all do, in different ways. Mm-hmm. You may love to see it visually, Some people love to hear it. But so I started doing the Audible, the real hard copy, and then what's the
Kindle?
Yes, and Kindle. And it's amazing. I'll reread books or listen to it or whatever, and I take totally different stuff out of it.
100%.
Yeah.
I've actually been doing that recently of going back through and listening on Audible to books that I have read hard copy, like Patrick Lencioni. I don't know if you guys ever read his stuff.
No.
I love his stuff. He's got like the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, the 4 Habits of a CEO, like all this different stuff. He's an amazing business writer. And going through and listening to them, and like you said, just pulling so much different stuff on it. Or Traction, Gino Wickman's book.
Reading it right now.
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
Great book, man.
Book. Yep.
But I've read that book physically a few times, and then I've listened to it a few times, and now I'm actually going back through it and kind of taking a look at our company and using this as a guide to kind of redo some of the stuff, because we already do a lot of the stuff from Traction, and because of traction. Not that because I came up with anything. That I'm not that smart.
Well, he's got the whole series.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of books.
We
now.
have them all.
Yeah,
and we haven't implemented. So
no,
that's part of.
You should.
That's part of this year.
There is a. Do you know Wendy Waldron?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's an EOS implementer.
I've been contacting with her.
Oh, cool.
And that was 2 years ago when things blew up. So
yeah.
So that, but yeah, I've talked to her a couple times.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'd say she can take you right through that process, man. Yeah. That's what she does.
But again, it comes down to the right people.
Yeah.
We didn't have the right people, and I started thinking, really, the biggest asset, and I think that's another part of the growth as an entrepreneur. You realize money doesn't mean shit. I can go make money anywhere.
Yeah.
But tell me to go bartend. I'll make money. I'll charm them into giving me tips. I'll be a shitty bartender, but
they'll love me.
But then you realize that the asset's time. So everything I look at now is, am I helping someone? Am I bringing value to someone? And if it's not bringing value to someone or myself, I won't do it. I just won't do it. I'm not going to give up my time like that to people freely. It's just not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I just think you realize that money isn't anything. I chased money for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And it never ends. But then that shift happens, I think, when you hopefully realize it early enough. I'm 54.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's early enough.
Oh, you're spring chicken for sure.
Right. You make that shift, I think, to really where, to me, the growth happens in a company. And that could mean $1 million, that could mean 5 million, 10 million, is that shift as a person that it changes who you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think to the point of reading and listening to books, the tie-in is that at that time, 10 years ago when you read that book, your life was different.
Yeah.
And that's what I tie that to my sobriety. Like I was a different person throughout those years too. So when I reread a book, I pick up different things because it's almost like when you're looking for a new car, a new red car, what do you see? Red cars everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Right? And I forget what they call it, but
reticular activator system.
That
is the part of your brain. I'm actually writing an article on it right now.
You are pretty smart.
I just held up a cue card.
I will. Yes, yeah. You can't see us, but he wrote it on a piece of paper for me.
That was planned,
so I could sound smart. I'm actually writing an article.
Again, at the time, I think when we're reading or listening or doing whatever, we have a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're listening or looking for the solution to that. So 10 years later, not the same pain point. So I think it's just part of that. Now I realize that a book isn't a throwaway.
Yeah.
We're doing a huge garage sale in August. My wife says, go down the office at the house or down the basement of the house. She said, are we getting rid of all these books? I said, no.
Right.
There's hundreds.
It's a library, man.
And I said, the wisdom has come to me to know that I want those so I can reread them. I look at those as they're like gold bricks.
Or someone else can read them.
Pass it on. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah. And that's part of also culture, I think, is what I do, I share with everybody in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you don't have to do it. I've done this and this works, or I've done this. But I think part of the respect is understanding you can't shove it down their throats like anything. You have to respect where they're at. You meet them where they're at. You hope to plant a seed, and you hope to be able to water that, and it grows and helps them down the road. Maybe not while you're with them, but that's what it's about to me.
It's amazing. I know that we're basically out of time here.
I'm good.
Well, I know you
for
are.
you.
Yes. All right. I'm out of town. I don't want to make it about me here, guys.
I manage my time much better than
actually, we have a guest out in the lobby. But
how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah.
1-800-PAINT-JOB. We need a painter.com.
Love it.
Only certified cabinet refinisher. Warren, Washington, Saratoga, Albany County.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do a few things, not just painting.
Yeah. Yeah, one of our main focuses now is the cabinet refinishing. We've tied that into a whole, we call it a platinum package, where they can do countertops, backsplash, flooring, new doors, hardware, soft close, all that. And that grew, or I guess became, from a need of, while we're there, do you know someone that does countertops? Do you know someone that does backsplash? So we love doing it as a company, doing all pieces. We work with subs, but we control those pieces. So we're not dependent on someone's brother-in-law. We won't, if that's part of it, we just don't do it. But we like to control as many of the pieces as we can.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that is what makes the experience for the customer. How long does it take? We can do countertops, refinish cabinets, new doors, all that in 5 days.
Whole new kitchen.
Yep. with the right process and system.
That's it.
And that's what we got.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mike, I appreciate you coming in.
This is
great.
great.
Taking the time.
Love to come back.
Yeah, we'll have to. I think we could have talked for another 2 hours.
Yeah,
so
easy.
we'll definitely have to get you back on here. And real quick, everyone, I just want to say thank you to the Eden Center here in Glens Falls for giving us the space to use. If you're not familiar with them, check out their website. I'll have Mac, our producer, put it in the notes. And then also just want to take a quick second to thank Luke Michaels at the Michaels Group. Him and his team over there, they're our sponsor of the show here, helping us get this stuff done and help getting it produced. And, as our promise is to use some of that money as well to give back to the blue collar community, which we're trying to figure out what that looks like right now. But stay tuned. And thanks a lot again, Mike.
Drop us some questions.
Yeah. Send questions. Where do they drop those?
Either in the YouTube comments. Or the website. Reach out direct to the website.
Yeah.
Mike or I will get back to you.
We definitely will.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that don't worry about following us on social media because we're just not going to do it. And guys, you don't have to do it either. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, check us out. BlueCollarStartup.io is our website. We've got the Blue Collar Blueprint on there. It's some more free resources, videos, how-tos, just a bunch of more content from other blue-collar business owners. It's not the Mike and Derek show. It's really about their message to you, and we're just the conduit for that message. So check it out, and you'll hear from us next time.